The story begins with Gintoki running from sword-wielding samurai. The narrator calls him the hero of this story, but Gintoki clearly isn't acting heroic as he jumps over a wall just to catch his favorite TV show. On the other side, he bumps into Shinpachi, who's also being chased. The two dash through the streets, nearly getting hit by a flying car before Kagura bursts in riding Sadaharu, who crashes into their pursuers and sends them flying. The chase turns into chaos, and when cornered, the three finally introduce themselves as Yorozuya. A black cat passes between them, and Shinpachi recognizes it as the missing Kuromi-chan they were supposed to find. They all run after the cat, ignoring their enemies completely until Gintoki gets hit by a truck. Shinpachi then narrates about the land of the samurai and how the Amanto took control of Edo. He says he's been working for Gintoki for a year without pay. Meanwhile, a man named Kariya is seen plotting with a Ronin. The Shinsengumi appears, with Hijikata discovering an Amanto plan involving a dangerous machine. At Yorozuya's office, Gintoki reads Jump, while Kagura eats and lectures him about his addiction. Shinpachi walks in, reminding them they're broke, when a bald man named Katu arrives. He tells a sad story about losing his home, job, and family. Gintoki and his team take on the job to help him earn money. They visit Otos and Catherine for advice and even joke about selling organs for cash. Sachan joins them midway. Katu runs into two shady men who mock him, and out of frustration, he asks Gintoki to train him instead of chasing money. Gintoki agrees, but later follows those men to the Amanto embassy, where he runs into Katsura and Elizabeth. Later, Gintoki fights the Ronin, but escapes badly injured. At sunset, he finds Kagura, Shinpachi, and Sachan sitting by the river. They tell him Katu quit, and he silently walks away. Shinpachi complains to his sister Otai that Gintoki doesn't care, but Otai says Gintoki always helps in his own way. That night, Katu drinks alone until Gintoki joins him. Katu finally reveals the truth. His so-called friends stole his seal, used it to take his house, and caused his family to leave. His daughter's letter, asking to come home, gives him strength again. Gintoki listens quietly and agrees to help him steal the contract back, but his stomach gives up and he decides to do it tomorrow. Another earthquake shakes the city as the night grows heavy. Next morning, the gang, Gintoki, Katu, Kagura, Shinpachi, and Sadaharu, pull themselves together and storm straight to the Amanto embassy. Gintoki doesn't even bother knocking. He straight up kicks the gate open like it owes him money. Inside, it's empty, except for a massive buffet. That's all it takes for Gintoki, Kagura, and Sadaharu to dive in face first. Seconds later, boom, they're all trapped in a cage with the food. Turns out it's a setup by Kariya and his goons. The thugs mock them, saying they'll be crushed soon anyway, and strut off laughing. Meanwhile, Yamazaki's out in the bushes, spying on everything. Then Katsura pops up out of nowhere, dropping the bomb that those guys plan to destroy Edo using some fault zone to trigger a massive earthquake. Kagura snaps the cage like it's paper, and the squad bolts to Katu's house. Gintoki explains that all of Katu's bad luck came from living right on top of that fault. The Shinsengumi are already at the scene but can't step in because the land's under Amanto control. So Yorozuya do what they do best, ignore rules and kick the door down. They bash through the guards like it's nothing. Gintoki squares off with Kariya, gives Katu a classic change yourself first pep talk, and Katu, by pure accident, takes the guy out cold. Then the machine goes wild, countdown ticking, 25 seconds till Edo goes kaboom. Katu tries to stop it, but breaks the lever instead. Gintoki charges in, smashes through everything in his path, and splits the machine in half with his wooden sword like it's made of butter. The whole thing blows, the villains get arrested, and Katu's house gone. But Gintoki gives him that grin, saying he's changed, and Katu nods. Just when things get serious, Kuromi the cat runs by and everyone loses focus, chasing it around like idiots. Later, at Yorozuya HQ, things go back to normal. Gintoki's reading Jump, Kagura's eating, Sadaharu's napping. On TV, Katu's now a singer, smiling on stage. There's a letter from him on the table. He's bought a new house and thanks them all. But that's just the tip of the iceberg in Gintama's crazy story. We're about to dive into the arcs, one wild ride after another. If you've made it this far, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe for more epic recaps and all the chaos coming your way.
Oh.
Hamilton!
Rerun of a show that I really want to watch tonight.
Yeah, me too.
In other words, you just really hate school festivals.
There's nothing in this world that you'll ever be able to protect.
Harusami Arc. Katsura visits Yorozuya, but only finds Sadaharu. Meanwhile, Gintoki is hired by a rich family to find their missing daughter, Kimiko. Yorozuya searches for her in a shady bar, but Shinpachi and Kagura end up in trouble after trying to fake her identity. They get captured by the Harusami gang while Gintoki discovers the real Kimiko in a bathroom, beaten and desperate for drugs. He fights her abuser, Kinya, but gets thrown out of a window with her by Daraku. Gintoki later wakes up from a nightmare in Katsura's house, realizing he and Kimiko were rescued. Katsura explains that Kimiko was addicted to a dangerous alien drug called Tenseikyu, linked to the Harusame space pirates. Despite the warning, Gintoki storms their ship to save his friends, with Katsura joining the fight. Disguised as a space captain, Gintoki frees Shinpachi and Kagura, while Katsura destroys the drug supply. In the battle, Gintoki kills Daraku and helps end the drug operation. When the chaos is over, Shinpachi and Kagura make him carry them back home, and though he complains, he does it anyway. Katsura quietly watches from a distance as Yorozuya walks away, bruised but together once again. Gengai Arc. Hiraga Gengai, a genius mechanic, gets involved in planning a grand festival for the Shogun. The Yorozuya lend him a hand with setting up mechanical attractions, unaware that Takasugi Shinsuke, Gintoki's old comrade turned enemy, is pulling strings behind the scenes. Takasugi fuels Gengai's grief over his son's death, twisting it into anger toward the shogunate. Lost in sorrow and rage, Gengai secretly builds a massive robot named Saburo, using his son's name as a symbol of revenge. His hidden goal is to assassinate the shogun during the festival. As the festival begins, Gintoki and his friends uncover the dark plot and race to stop it. They face off against Gengai's creation and his emotional turmoil, pushing him to see how revenge would only destroy what little he has left. After a tense struggle, Gengai breaks free from Takasugi's manipulation and stops the assassination attempt himself. The arc closes with the shogun unharmed, the plan dismantled, and Gengai finally letting go of his hatred, choosing to honor his son's memory by creating rather than destroying. Rengokuken Arc. Saugo reaches out to Gintoki for help investigating an underground fighting arena known as Rengokuken. Among the fighters, Sugo wants him to focus on Kidomaru, a skilled swordsman with a mysterious past. Once a condemned man, Kidomaru was spared by the Tendoshu and forced into endless battles in the arena. After escaping that life, he now runs an orphanage, caring for children who have no one else. However, tragedy strikes when another fighter, Onijishi, fatally stabs Kidomaru with a spear during a match. Deeply affected by his death, Gintoki decides to step into the ring himself. Wearing Kidomaru's mask as a silent tribute, he fights Onijishi head-on and defeats him in the arena, bringing justice to the fallen swordsman and closing the bloody chapter of Rengokuken. Memory Loss Arc. Gintoki ends up losing his memory after a nasty accident, and suddenly everyone's running around trying to fix him. The problem is, every wild method they try only makes things worse. With no clue who he is or what he's supposed to do, Gintoki calls it quits and breaks up the Yorozuya. Instead, he finds himself a new gig, working at a sketchy factory that just so happens to build weapons of mass destruction. As he settles into his new normal life, things start spiraling fast. The factory's shady owner, Banzo, gets into a messy conflict with the Shinsengumi, and Gintoki unknowingly ends up stuck right in the middle of it all. With chaos breaking out on both sides, everyone scrambles to snap Gintoki back to his old self before he becomes part of something far worse than just another crazy day at Yorozuya. Umibozu Arc. Umibozu, the famed alien hunter, comes to Earth to capture a parasite menace, but it is revealed that he is also the father of Kagura, and also intends to take her daughter back with him. A fight ensues between Kagura and Umibozu, which Umibozu wins, and Gintoki too asks Kagura to leave as the Earth isn't fit for her. Go Ninja Arc. Katsura is requesting Yorozuya to retrieve Elizabeth from the magistrate called Chintaro Toyama. Yorozuya goes to Sachan to get her help to become ninja. Then they invade the mansion of the magistrate where they face several trials, and they have to fight Shinobi 5, whose members are all former Oniwabanshu, which includes Zenzu. Inugami Arc. The Inugami arc kicks off with Sadaharu acting strange, and soon everyone realizes it's tied to his origins. Turns out, Sadaharu isn't just a giant dog. He's part of a sacred race meant to protect the balance between the human and spirit worlds. Things get wilder when his former owners, the priestess sisters Ane and Monet, show up to help. But before they can fix anything, Sadaharu's power spirals out of control, and he transforms into the raging demon Inugami. The whole town is thrown into chaos as Yorozuya teams up up with the priestess sisters to stop him without hurting him. Between Gintoki's reckless bravery, Kagura's stubborn loyalty, and Shinpachi's frantic attempts to keep up, the crew fights to bring their oversized pet back to normal. In the end, it's not force but heart that calms Sadaharu down, reminding everyone that even demons can be tamed with a little love and a lot of yelling.